Hey, C.B Smallwood here with 100 days of making comics. And I think this might be day 21. And currently I'm staring at a blank page. I'm getting ready to sketch out page 4 of my comic. We'll see how it goes. Let me show you page what page 4 will potentially look like. How about we go from there? Okay. This is my character. He's coming out of the grave. Bad guy talking. Bad guy talking. There's my character. Bad guys talking. There's my character. And there's the girl who sees this guy in the background. And that's the pretty much the page that I am transferring over by the big 11 by 17 paper. Oh man, sorry. Got my own professional setup. Well, how's everybody doing today? I hope it's well. You know, every time I upload one of these videos, I try to find, different topics and different things to talk about because, I find that it passes the time, and I think it makes, watching these videos a lot more interesting. Which I could be wrong about that. Maybe people would rather me not talk at all, and they would just, rather me draw, just draw. Which I'm sure there might be one or two people, or maybe more than that think it. I don't know. I really don't know. But until I get a better, gauge of what people would like to see in my videos, I'll just keep talking. I'm still trying to play around with the lighting and stuff, and so far it looks good. I think I may have found some lighting that may work good for filming stuff. Let's see. And I'm kind of being quiet right now because I'm in a creative state, I guess. And what is the creative state? Well, it's not something I made up, but it's a term that I just made up. It's sort of like when you're really focused as an artist, I guess you get in this creative state. I mean, not everybody's the same, but in my case, this is how it works for me, where I kind of just shut down and I get lost in what I'm doing, and most of my concentration is on that, thinking about where all the lines are going to go, and how everything is going to look, and how this looks wrong or that looks wrong, and how I can fix it, and how I could do this thing better or that thing better, that sort of thing, And well, it makes it hard to film sometimes. It makes it hard to, well, not so much film, just talk is what I'm trying to say. It makes it hard to talk and film at the same time, or whatever. You get what I'm saying. Okay, I think move the tombstone maybe off center a little bit, because I had it centered in the earlier panel. I don't know, kind of don't like that, but I'll fix it. Whatever, ain't no big deal. Man, this has turned into a very quiet video. It's like I feel like I'm turning into Bob Ross. If you know what, if I could only be Bob Ross, that would be awesome. I remember growing up watching Bob Ross paint. I believe that's his name. If not, then sorry. But Bob Ross was an amazing painter. He mainly, as far as I know, just painted landscapes. I don't know if he ever actually painted or did portraits or anything like that, but he did, landscapes. And he's sort of like, okay, today we're going to paint a little happy little tree right here. A little happy little tree. We're going to put some grooves in this happy little tree. Oh, yeah. Right there we go. Some happy little grooves. Got to put some notches so the squirrels can climb up the tree. Oh, no, it was amazing. And I remember when I was little, I would, watch him, and I would try to emulate what he would do, but like I didn't understand that acrylics, as far as I know, didn't really lend itself well to what he was doing. He was using oil-based paints, and I would try to replicate what he would do, and it would come out all jacked up. It'd be somewhat similar, but in the end, it just wasn't the same. But that's Bob Ross for you. I think Bob Ross has passed away. I don't know when he died, but Mr. Ross is no longer with us, as far as I know. Could be wrong, but it was always very relaxing to watch him do his thing too as an artist. He didn't really think about what he was painting for the most part. I mean, like I guess he had painted landscapes for so long that he could just do stuff with confidence, and he could trust, like when he would recognize with each brush stroke, what something could, potentially be. And he never, like he never gave it, twice thought. He just was just full, accessing the full creative potential of his mind, getting all Charles Xavier in a creative way. That would be cool, you know, if I could get all Charles Xavier, get all Bob Ross up in here as far as like creativity. I wonder if any of you that are watching this ever, you know, grew up watching Bob Ross and would try to emulate, you know, what he was doing. You know, what did you have success with it? You know, did you struggle? I mean, I know I struggled. I mean, that's me. You know, it's like speaking of struggling, it kind of makes me think of people that are called naturals. You ever heard that? Like if someone plays piano really well, or somebody's like a really good artist or a writer or whatever, I don't know, just really good at sports, you know, they're called like a natural. Like, oh, that person's just a natural. They're just born with it, you know. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe they're born with it. I don't know. But uh, you know what? This anatomy looks weird, but I like it. This anatomy is all funky. I can't make sense of it, but it has a slight creepy element to it, slightly, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, like I was getting ready to say is like, you know, you hear that growing up, you know, certain people are they're just born with it or they're naturally talented. And I am here to tell you that I was not one of those people. Uh, Seemed like everything for me has always been kind of like a struggle, you know. And this ain't no woe is me. I'm just, you know, talking here. I mean, you can always, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, you know, like if my talking gets annoying, you can always mute the audio and just, you know, watch the video. But for those of you that don't, you know, I never was one of these guys that was referred to as, you know, being a natural or something, you know. And I think I always got kind of annoyed at that, you know, like I would see people my own age that were like far superior than me artistically and all these different, you know, creative endeavors, and these people were referred to as being naturals and stuff, and it was annoying because, you know, there was something special and unique about these people. And it didn't seem like they needed to work very much at whatever their chosen gifts or talents were, you know. I guess maybe the reason, I mean, I just thought of this, but maybe part of the reason I brought this up is, you know, I've always thought, well, the last decade or so or more, that, you know, like, you know, a person can't get hung up on whether somebody's, you know, a natural or not, you know, when you compare yourself to other people. I mean, you can't compare yourself to other people. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, you know, because everybody's different. Everybody's on their own little journey, on their own little path, and not everybody's path's the same, you know. I remember there was this guy, he was an artist, and he did his own creator owned title, and he was like 15 or 16 years old. Seemed like it had a frog in it, and this boy had really big sneakers. I remember being really envious at that because I was like 18 or 19 and I already felt behind the curve. And I remember reading interviews where I think Scott or J. Scott Campbell, or he, you know, working for Wildstorm, drawing Gen 13 and stuff like that, that he got his start in comics around age 16, I think. And, you know, you see that stuff and you're like, you know, you kind of feel behind the curve. But it took me a while to realize that you can't sit around and compare yourself to everybody else and where they're at in their life. Everybody's story is unique, and you got to let your story play out. As long as you're putting the effort and time in, it'll be an interesting one. At least that's what I believe. My story is still playing out. I have no idea uh, how it's going to evolve. What it's going to morph into. I hope it's a really good story. With a happy ending. But we'll see. It's just one of these things. Um, and for me, the happy ending is drawing comics and stuff for a living. Let me move the camera over here. How about I zoom this, guys? I need to get more in a habit of zooming. I need to be a zoom master. I really need to work on my tree limbs. I mean, I think they suffice for what they are, but I guess it's where sometimes I'm not very patient. It seems like the more patient you are as an artist, the more you're rewarded for it. But anyway, back on topic. I was talking about like people that they have natural born talent, and then talking about like comparing yourself to others. Whether these people have natural born talent or not. It's like you just got to be you, and just worry about what it is that you do. And just keep at it. And when I say this stuff, I'm kind of like talking more or less to myself than I am, anything else. So far, unless I'm mistaken, the consensus is, until I get further feedback, that I think most of you all don't really mind my videos being kind of long. So I appreciate that. Seems like right when I get in a really good conversational groove and talk about things, is when I tend to want to wrap the videos up, because it usually gets into the 20-minute mark. I guess wrapping up the whole spiel about people with natural born talent. The last couple of thoughts on that is, I always kind of felt that I got resentful a little bit. Why do these people have these incredible abilities like the X-Men, and I have to struggle? But it made me turn into a regular little Doctor Doom and Lex Luthor, being resentful at the Fantastic Four and Superman, for being able to do and have things that they don't. And it actually, drove those characters to greater depths of success, and that sort of thing. And even though there is a negative, it drove them insane. But I guess you can see what I'm saying or trying to say. Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm just gabbing. But I'm saying that I guess I was kind of fueled in a similar way. When I see people when I was younger that were more talented than me, that was something that was in my mind, that I would just have to work harder. Unfortunately, even though I thought that, I never did practice that. I never put that into practice. But that would have been a really good, philosophy to have if I actually practiced what I preached. Now, moving on from that, I think I beat that dead horse pretty good. On this page that I'm drawing, this is, I think it said it's page 4, I think. Page 3, which I did in the last episode, or however you want to phrase it. The reason I'm not sketching more on that is I'm just trying to keep progress going. I'm just kind of slopping down a lot of these layouts and what have you on the big paper. And I think, when I get so many of them done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at everything, and then, well, obviously I'm going to sit down and like try to draw stuff better, like this thing I'm drawing. I'll probably, take the eraser to it and clean it up, and then actually start adding in a lot better details. I kind of have like a sketchy style, I guess. And I got the idea from one of the first ideas I had for it was when Top Cow Comics did a crossover with Marvel, and one of the big villains that they teased for the crossover was, and I can't pronounce his name, I'm terrible with names, Mephisto, the red guy who is sort of like a devilish character. He's been like a Silver Surfer villain, and a couple other people's villains too in the Marvel universe. But they chose this guy as the antagonist for this crossover. So anyway, I remember Mark Silvestri. He did it was an amazing drawing of Mephisto, or however his name's pronounced. And he's like sitting on a throne, and he had his hand cussed out, and it was awesome. And the whole thing was just like a sketch where he just like everything was just circles and scratches and all this other stuff. And it was just a work of art, and like it really, like, if anybody, I kind of felt like that if anybody inked it, it was just like it would have ruined it, because it was just so awesome, and so that's where I first got the idea for that approach to drawing. And the other person that's a big influence on me as far as like that scritchy, scratchy, just, as you go, is Joe Kubert. He does that a lot in his art, and it actually has a very, or at times he's done that in his art, and it has a very, organic feel to it, I mean, I could be wrong, but that's the way I kind of feel that it looks to me, Very organic. And so that influenced me too, seeing that. And if I could throw a third person in there just for good measure, you can't even see what I'm drawing. If I could throw a third person in there for good measure, it would probably be Todd McFarlane. you know, which this thing, I guess necessarily isn't much in like scritchy scratchy as it is more, you know, like, I guess if I take his finger, for example, he would be like, you know, adding all these weird little detail things, you know. I mean, that's not really McFarlane Light, but you kind of get the idea. He just likes to add a bunch of dashes and zigzags and in his own little scritchy scratchy. So I guess I got some ideas from that too. All right. Yeah, I like how that's evolving. Let's zoom out and let you get a gander. I mean, I think that's kind of going cool places, right? I mean, I'll probably I may change the shading up and stuff like that, and the you know, some of the line work and cross hatching, you know, all that crap. But I kind of like where it's going. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to put it in a package, put it in the mail, send it to wherever Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, you know, send their packages, and hopefully it'll be seen by fictional characters, because I'm rambling now. Well, thank you everybody for each and every single like, upvote, subscribe, and followers that I get. It means a lot to me. And I thank you all, you know, for continuing to do that and be supportive. And this is C.B Smallwood for 100 days of making comics. And I will see you in the next video.